house guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 21 updates and spoilers. Our house guests of the day are Rocky Ardilla. Is it Ardilla or Ardilla? Scenarios. Ron Harper and Rhonda Sears. Thank you all so much for the support. We really do appreciate it, and we could not do this without you, so thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, like this rowdy bunch, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Fun fact, the way that I learned the word rowdy was from watching Price is Right as a kid, because everybody was always like, oh, we're so, I don't remember what it was, whatever. But I remember I learned from that show. I think people like made t-shirts or something, but the story is not important. So anyway, when we left off yesterday, all was calm in the house. Jackson won the veto. He's planning on going back on his bogus deal with Cliff, because he's going to take Holly to the final three instead of Cliff. But Cliff is still under the impression that Jackson will stick to his word and keep Cliff. Are you out of your mind? He's not gonna vote out Holly. How would he survive the final week without shower time? I mean, really. So Nicole's a little bit more skeptical. Yeah, okay, so Nicole's in the backyard with Jackson and Holly, and Nicole says, you know, I really appreciate you guys. And Jackson says, we appreciate you too. And then Jackson asks, what made you say that? And Nicole says, well, I think Jackson's a little bit weirded out because he knows what he's going to be doing this week. And I think he feels a little guilty hearing Nicole say this. So Nicole says, well, it's really refreshing when people say things and mean them and stick to them. She says, I'm not really used to that in my real life, definitely not in this game, so you know, I don't expect that from people. And she says, Cliff was talking to me about the whole Southern gentleman thing and the meaning of a handshake, the meaning of eye contact, and Jackson says, yeah, that's something that means a lot to me. I'm unwaveringly loyal to those that are loyal to me, but I won't bend over backwards and go against myself for people who haven't been loyal to me. So he says, why should I sacrifice for someone who wouldn't do the same for me? So then Jackson is talking about all of the alliances that he was in, like the 6, the 8, whatever, and he was loyal to them until they flipped on him. He was never the problem. So Jackson tells Nicole, I love you to death. I hope I can trust you with this, and I hope this stays here. And Nicole's like, uh-oh, should I be afraid? Like, what are you about to tell me here? And Jackson says, no. Jackson says, I'm gonna say everything that I need to say in my POV speech tomorrow. Not sure that's happening, but okay. You know, because they changed the schedule this week. They're not gonna have the POV ceremony on Monday and then have the eviction on Thursdays. So, like, it doesn't make sense. They're gonna do both on the same day at the same time. So anyway, he tells Nicole, I love you and I respect you. I want to give you a heads up. So he says, I hope this conversation stays here. I don't want it to upset Cliff and like stress him out on top of the current health things he has going on. What? Is there something that we don't know about, or is this some BS? I don't know. But he's saying, I'm just giving you a heads up that this is going to be the final 3. Nicole looks very disappointed when he says this. So Jackson's like, Holly and I were unwaveringly loyal to y'all, and we had a deal to go to Final 4. We all knew what we were getting into and that we'd all have to go against each other. So then Cliff comes out, breaks up the conversation. So after a few minutes of weather and geography chat, Nicole goes inside, and Nicole says to the cameras, I knew it. I knew it. I know this game better than anything, and it's my own fault. So Jackson follows her inside, and he's asking, oh, can we go talk? He says he wants to explain the move, and Nicole's like, I get it. You know, I'm upset because she feels like Cliff deserves to go to the final 3, and she doesn't. Stop. Okay, so then they go up to the HOH room to talk, and Jackson says, this isn't the kind of Big Brother that I wanted to play. he says, I came here to be open and honest and loyal to people. Like when you threw the rogue vote and tried to pin it on Nicole, because that was really honest and open and loyal. So he says, my handshake and my word is rock solid until it's not reciprocated. So then Jackson starts talking about how Cliff and Nicole were considering keeping Tommy over Holly last week, and that really rocked their Final Four deal. And Nicole says, all right, don't blow smoke up my ass. Don't use that as an excuse. Woo! Tell him! So Jackson says, it's not an excuse. And Nicole says, it's obvious. Don't use last week as an excuse for this week. And Jackson says, I'm not using it as an excuse. Holly kept her word. She threw an HOH. She probably could have won. Wow, that's a real PD thing to say. Pompous douchebag. They continue to assume that Holly would have beaten Nicole in that HOH competition, and we don't know that that's necessarily true. But Jackson tells Nicole about Cliff's deals, and he says there's a lot of reasons why this is going to happen. And Nicole says, you know, I'm not upset with you or Holly or upset about you making this move. This is the nature of the game. She's upset because she saw this coming, which she did. That's why she wanted to keep Tommy last week. And she says Cliff is not the one who was questioning voting out Holly last week. That was me, and now he's going to be the one leaving. So it seems like Nicole's frustrated here because she knows that it would have been better to keep Tommy. Plus she has survivor's guilt. But honestly, I don't think she should, because Cliff wanted to keep Holly because he knew that they would take him to the final three over Nicole. So I mean, he set himself up here and now he's paying the price. So Jackson says, I want to voice exactly where, oh wait, I skipped part of my notes. Yeah, Nicole says that she should have given that HOH to Cliff. She didn't even think of throwing it to him. Girl, no. You compromised and voted the way that he wanted to. So you shouldn't have to also throw the HOH to him. Again, he wanted to move forward with the showmance, and now he's paying the price. So Jackson says, I want to voice exactly where I'm coming from. He says, it's not a matter of me stabbing people in the back. It kind of is, though. I mean, even though you have your reasons for doing it, you still made that agreement with Cliff that you would take him to the final three and final two, and now you're going back on that. Sounds like you're stabbing someone in the back. So Jackson says, I love you, Nicole. I've always said that you're not a fourth wheel to a tricycle, because that's something that Nicole said she was worried about last week. She thought if they make it to the final four, unless she won one of the competitions, she was going to be out. And yeah, that's what would have happened unless her or Cliff won the power of veto. Or, you know, she won HOH. So Nicole says, okay, so I'm just the third wheel to a bicycle. She says, this is going to be a great finale night. So Jackson says, no, you're not. We never considered going against y'all. Maybe not, like, directly going after them after they made the Final Four deal, but you would have been so cool with Tommy or Christy doing it. Don't act like you didn't agonize over whether or not you guys should throw HOH competitions so that Christy and Tommy could take them out. So anyway, that's also the reason why he took Jess out, so that the duos would go after each other. So Jackson says, you guys told us no funny business right after the veto, and then even after that you were considering keeping Tommy. And Nicole says, because I knew this was gonna happen. I knew that the showmance would choose each other. So Jackson says, it wasn't gonna happen this way. Yeah, you're right. If they just went along with a deal and voted out Tommy like it was nothing, then Jackson and Holly ideally wanted to go to the final three with Cliff. So Nicole probably would have been going. So that's fun. But Jackson says, we got strong-armed into taking a new deal. And Nicole says, I did not initiate those new deals, which is true. It was always Cliff trying to make those deals. But for some reason, Nicole keeps getting blamed for it, especially by Holly. Holly keeps saying that Nicole bullied her into throwing the HOH. which is hilarious considering Cliff was the one who made the deal and Jackson was the one who kept telling her to throw it. But she's blaming Nicole. Insane. So Jackson says, the moment that I realized Holly was going to get evicted, it was no holds barred. And we decided, I decided we'll play Dirty Big Brother if we have to. Did you forget at the beginning of the game? You were playing Dirty Big Brother. You can deny it all you want. You can forget about it all you want, but it happened. So he said, we didn't want to play like this. We were forced to. And, you know, Cliff was making all those deals and expecting the final two to be handed to him on a platter. And he says, it's not right. The way this past week has gone has been extremely dirty. And you played a huge part in that. So he says, and I do think Cliff deserves to be in the final three, but not the Cliff from this past week. This is not the same Cliff. So he says the deals that Cliff has been making are sloppy, messy, and dirty. I would agree with that. They are very sloppy. Cliff really, I can't believe he expected Jackson and Holly to vote each other out. It's wild. So Nicole says, I know. It was pretty crazy. So Jackson says, I would really be in a tight spot right now if the whole Tommy thing didn't happen and I still won the power veto. And, you know, he's trying to imply here that he wouldn't know who to vote out. Come on, man. You've had this planned. So he says, we were shown that our word was not reciprocated. So for that reason, mine doesn't mean anything either. Then he's asking Nicole, does that make sense? It's a principle thing. So he says, I'm not using anything as an excuse. But you are! You are! And he says, this is not a conniving plan that we've had this whole time. So it just, you know, like, it's stupid because if they didn't have the whole Tommy drama, it's not like Jackson was gonna pick anyone else over Holly anyway. So I feel like he's just trying to cover up what he would have done originally. You know, it's just stupid. So Jackson keeps repeating himself over and over again, same reasons over and over again. And then he says, I do want to have this conversation with Cliff, but I don't think that today's the right day with his health. I don't want to jeopardize his health. The fuck is he talking about? What is going on here? So Nicole says, you know what? I see the trajectory that you and Holly have set up for yourselves, and if and when you guys go to the final two, I'll take it on the chin and I won't be bitter. And Jackson's telling her, oh, you could still win the final HOH, like, you never know. And Nicole's like, no, don't go down the Southern gentleman route again, please. Yeah, he's being fake AF. So she says, I'm officially the dodo bird with a showman's at the end. And I feel like you can kind of thank Cliff for that. But Jackson has the nerve to say, no, you're not. Really? Okay, so Jackson says, there were two comments made by Cliff that really got to him. At one point, Jackson and Cliff were talking, and Jackson said, you know, if I'm spending all my time with Holly over the next few days, it is what it is. You know, we might not have that much time left together. And apparently Cliff said something like, oh yeah, like, it will be your last few days together. Because this was after Jackson and Cliff made their deal. And there was another comment to Holly about allowing her to compete in the veto. And Jackson's like, Holly is a 31-year-old grown woman, and, you know, she doesn't have to get permission from people to play in competitions. Apparently she does, because look what she did. But anyway, Holly joins them, and they just keep going over the same shit over and over again and again and again. So then Jackson says, Holly and I didn't become unbreakable until after BB Comics. It was your guys' fault. Which is some bullshit, because, But Nicole says, you were always unbreakable, let's be real. I don't know about always, but I would say maybe like day 44, when Jackson was like ostracized from the 6. I feel like that's when Holly was the only one who was really talking to him. And I think at that point he was like, okay, Holly's my official #1 now because I'm not with Jack anymore. So I think that that's when it happened. But they deny it. They're like, oh, we were playing separate games the whole entire time, blah, 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 blah. So Jackson says, again, this is not an excuse to keep Holly. And Nicole's just like, well, And Holly says, I mean, I could have saved myself, but I didn't. And I never should have had to offer that. That's your problem. You didn't have to follow through with that. No, don't blame her. So Nicole says, there's no need for all of the reasons and excuses that you're giving right now. You guys have been together longer. I get it. Like, obviously, you're going to take each other to the end. Just, like, stop trying to come up with all these reasons to justify it. Just say what it is. You were working together. So Nicole says, she's starting to get emotional, and she says, you know, I feel really guilty that I'm going to the end and not Cliff when I was the one that was questioning you guys last week. And she says, he made the deal, and I ended up benefiting from it. He was trying to make a deal that was better for him. So you shouldn't feel bad about that. No. Okay, so then the conversation finally ends after more BS and more repetition. I'm not going to keep going over the same stuff over and over again. But Nicole says, I applaud you both. Very well done. So then Holly and Jackson were alone, and Holly says, Nicole's not wrong. It should be Cliff in the final 3, not her. Oh my god! So she says that Cliff is taking the bullet for Nicole's mistakes, and I mean, she's right about that, because they should have kept Tommy. But anyway, Holly says, if we had all just fought fair, I would have had the HOH key, you would have had the veto, and then you would have been choosing between the two of them, and as they've discussed before, Jackson would have kept Cliff and evicted Nicole. Yo, there's 2 pompous douchebags in the same showmance. It's crazy. So Jackson says, I'm sure that Tommy is telling the jury right now that I lied and that's why he's in the jury. I mean, that's true. And he says the best thing that I can do is try and spin it that I had to protect you and I did anything that I could to protect you. It's a valid game move, whatever, but own it. You're not even gonna own it? So then Holly is asking Jackson, are you gonna tell Cliff before he leaves that that was all a lie and that Tommy did not actually approach you and try to work with you? And Jackson says, absolutely not. Oh, I guess he's planning on losing some more jury votes. So later, Nicole is alone on the hammock and she says to the cameras, you know, I had this all mapped out in my head and I still went against it. Why would I do that? I'm so stupid. Cliff is why you did that. Okay, so Jackson comes over. He sits down next to the hammock and he's like, are you alright? You want to talk about it? And she says, nope. It's not really anything to talk about. It's a game. I didn't expect anything different. So Jackson keeps trying to explain his reasons. And Nicole says, I'm not bothered on a game level. I get why you're doing what you're doing. I get it. So Jackson says, just keep in mind, you're going to have a 33% chance of winning the HOH. Yeah, but she's up against 2 people together who will have a combined 66 or 67% chance of winning. So she says, sure, whatever. And he's like, don't underestimate yourself. Don't count yourself out. And Nicole says, if you keep your expectations low, you can't be disappointed. So Jackson says that's the wrong mentality to have. He keeps trying to pump her up. Leave her alone. She doesn't want to hear it. So Nicole physically turns away from him on the hammock, which was hilarious. And Jackson is like, oh, don't do that. And this was in a lighthearted way because, you know, they have like their sibling relationship or whatever. He's like, turn back, talk to me, turn your ass around and talk to me. I'm your big little brother. She obviously doesn't want to talk to you. She is physically turning away from you. So Nicole says, I don't need a therapy session. Jackson says, I'll just sit here and wait until you're ready to talk. And Nicole says, okay, well, it's gonna be a long time. So he keeps talking, blah, blah, blah. I love you so much. Love you to death. I'm so honored to go to the final 3 with you. Blah, blah, blah. So eventually Cliff comes over, breaks up the chat. Holly joins them. They just have like their general chit chat. But then eventually Cliff leaves. So the 3 of them are together again. Nicole, Holly, and Jackson. And Jackson says, Nicole, I really hope this doesn't change anything between us. And Nicole says, nope. It's just awkward and I don't really do well in awkward situations. So she does let him know, I appreciate knowing in advance what you're gonna do. And Jackson again is saying, I don't think I want to tell Cliff until the power veto ceremony. I'm thinking about his health. So Nicole says, okay, well, you know, what are you gonna say in your POV speech? Is it gonna be like some big dramatic thing? She's saying, I think you should tell Cliff beforehand. I think you owe that to him. You know, you can still do your speech, but at least let Cliff know so he doesn't have like a crazy reaction during the ceremony. So Jackson says, no, my speech is gonna be really respectful, really mature. I'm not trying to embarrass anyone or add insult to injury. So Nicole says, okay, well, I feel like there's not really a need for you to list all these reasons in your speech. So Jackson says, well, it's my word being broken and I want America to hear why I'm breaking my word. Ding, 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 bingo! He's doing this for America. He doesn't want to look bad in front of America for breaking his word. So Nicole says, well, it sounds like you're gonna make me and Cliff look like horrible people. And Jackson says, well, we wouldn't have been in this situation if we would have all four stuck in, yes, he said stuck in, to the deal that we've had for 5 weeks. He says, this isn't about making anyone look bad. But then he goes on to say again, however, Holly and I weren't the ones who almost broke a deal going to the Final Four. Okay. So Nicole says, okay, well, you guys weren't in a position to do that. And, you know, she's kind of implying, like, I think if you guys were in that position, you may have taken a shot at us. So she also points out that she and Cliff did not actually break the deal. They did vote for Holly to stay. So then Jackson's like, yeah, but, you know, you guys pushed us into a corner. You forced us to make all these new deals. Again, Nicole was not part of that. That was Cliff. So Nicole says, all right, well done. Like, stop. Leave me alone. So then Jackson is going on and on about how painful it is to break his word. And he's saying, again, we wouldn't have been in this position. We weren't going against the Final Four. That was you guys. And then Nicole freaking snaps. Woo! So she says, all right, you two are the martyrs of the season. You are tremendous. I hope they raise balloons in your honor and have Festivus for you and everybody cheers your name in the streets because Nicole is the horrible person that went against everything and I hope they throw tomatoes at me when I walk on stage. Damn! You freaking tell them! Oh shit. So Jackson walks away when she says this. Was it a little bit too true for you? And Holly says, you know that's not at all what this is about. You know it's not. And she also walks away because what is she gonna say to Nicole on her own? So Nicole, as Holly's walking away, says, I applaud you both. She's hilarious. So then after that conversation, Holly and Jackson are in the kitchen and Holly is telling Jackson, you were very straightforward, you were honest, you were respectable. That conversation just showed the difference in y'all's maturity. Hugely. She says how Nicole handles things when she doesn't get her way. I lost a lot of respect right there. A lot. Oh no, what's Nicole gonna do now? She doesn't have Holly's respect. So they're really not happy about Nicole's martyr comment. I thought it was great. And Holly says, oh, I can't believe she even said this. Holly says that Nicole played the victim all game until she got an ounce of power and then she turned into a bully, and when her bully tactics didn't work, she threw a tantrum. Oh my god! And it's in this moment that I realized Holly is funny. She's hilarious. So Holly says, that's not how life works. Oh, I just can't believe that she's calling Nicole a bully. Are you joking right now? Are you joking? So meanwhile, Nicole talks to the cameras and she says, this is a game. It's shoot or be shot. And she says, I know if Jackson and Holly had the opportunity, they would have taken the shot first. I'm not an effing idiot. So she says, yes, we had an opportunity to take a shot before we got to the Final Four, and I'll admit, I wanted to effing take it. She says, America if you think my handshake and my word are worth shit now, then so be it. You can boo me all you want. You can throw tomatoes all you want. First of all, I love that Nicole thinks that people still throw tomatoes at people. Also, she's in for a huge surprise when she sees how many people were rooting for her, how many people have enjoyed watching her this season. It's gonna be great. But anyway, she talks about how she comes from the Northeast. She doesn't know about all these Southern gentleman agreements and handshakes and eye contact. She says, no, I'm from the Northeast, New York, Long Island, where it's kill or be killed. You protect your own before they're even put at risk. So she says, I never expected Holly or Jackson to pick Cliff or me over each other. No freaking way. So she's saying this still would have happened even if we didn't have all the drama last week of maybe keeping Tommy and wavering. This would have happened anyway. So she says, I don't need to hear Jackson's POV speech. He's doing this for the cameras and for America. So she says, this is a game. We're all hypocrites. Yes, it's true. So she says, honestly, I would just prefer Jackson's speech to be like, Holly's my gal, and she said my gal. Holly's my gal, and I'm taking her to the final 3, and that's that. That's all she needs to hear. So she is so sick of being spoken down to and lectured by Jackson and Holly. Yeah. And she says, you know what? If you want to drop a bomb at the veto ceremony and act like a big martyr, then I'm going to have a talk with my friend. Woo! So Nicole goes up to the HOH room to talk to Cliff. And Cliff is all like, woo, I'm listening to Eric Church. And he asks Nicole, how are you doing? And Nicole says, bad. And Cliff is like, why? And Nicole says, I need to talk to you, and it's really bad. So then Cliff's like, oh, they're thinking about flipping? Nicole nods, and Cliff says, it's okay. So Nicole is really pissed about how Jackson is handling this whole move. Again, she's not upset about the move. She expected that to happen. But she doesn't like the phoniness that Jackson is showing right now. So she says they keep lecturing me and it seems like it's for the cameras. And Cliff is like, you know what? If it happens and he votes me out, I'm okay with it. There's pretty much nothing I can do about it at this point. And he says, if Jackson wants to break the deal, that's on him, you know, and the jury will find out about that. Cliff is gonna tell him all about it, and he says to Nicole, I'm gonna be a vote for you if you make it to the final 2, obviously. So then Cliff pulls Jackson, they talk about it a bit more, but it's not anything like sensational. So then Cliff pulls Jackson aside to talk, and he's like, yeah, Nicole told me what's going on here. She's not very good at keeping a secret. And he tells Jackson, I'm okay with it, but let's talk. So Jackson said, oh, Nicole feels upset because she feels like she's taking that you're taking a bullet for her. And Cliff says, well, I mean, I kind of am. And Jackson says, I know. So Jackson goes through his explanation again. And then he basically says, if things didn't get all messed up last week and you guys weren't wavering and considering keeping Tommy, then Holly would have won HOH, I would have won the veto, and I would have kept you over Nicole. So yes, you're taking a bullet for her. So Cliff says, all right, well, I mean, I wish you would have just turned down the new deals that I offered you. What, you know, why didn't you just turn down the new deals? After we voted out Holly, or voted to keep Holly, you could have just said you weren't doing it, but no, you kept it up. Yeah, because Jackson wanted to keep his ass covered just in case he didn't win the power veto. So Jackson's like, oh, well, how do you think I felt in the RV after Big Brother Comics when you said no funny business? So Cliff says, all right, whatever, it's cool, it's a game, it's all good. So Cliff says his piece about how he wanted to stick to their Final 4 agreement, but then he started hearing things that maybe Holly and Jackson weren't being completely honest with them, maybe targeting Cliff and Nicole. You know, Tommy was saying a lot of stuff, and he wanted to hear Nicole out about keeping Tommy. It wasn't just his decision. So blah, 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 blah. Cliff says it's a game, it's fine, whatever. Okay, so then later, Cliff is all like, I find it kind of interesting that Jackson was okay with the deals until he won the power of veto, and now he has the power to make a decision here. You know, he was, I'm sure, fully expecting Cliff to follow through on the deal and keep him if he had won the power of veto. He would have been fine with the deals then. So Cliff says Jackson was really just looking for a reason to break the deal. And maybe he'll tell Jackson that if he votes Cliff out, that Cliff will vote for Holly to win if she goes to the final 2 and not Jackson, because Holly honored her deal and threw the HOH competition. So in other news, Nicole's overwhelmed that she's now gonna have to win her way. She's gonna have to win out to get to the final 2. That's intimidating. You can do it. You can do it. So also Pop TV gave them a big Jenga set. Everybody was, you know, getting along. Not really any more drama last night. Jackson dropped a watermelon and it broke. I guess that was a little bit of drama. Jackson and Holly were looking something up in the Big Brother rulebook. I'm not sure what it was, but they didn't seem happy with what they found. Were they looking for some way to vote out Nicole? I don't know. But today, there will not be a power veto ceremony. Duh, they're gonna do that on Thursday. Come on. So Cliff is now gonna be trying to come up with something to pitch to Jackson later this week. He's not sure what yet, because it's not like he's just pitching for Jackson to get rid of any old other player. He's trying to get Jackson to vote out his Buck Buddy. So, I mean, he's gonna have to come up with some crazy stuff right now. Are we gonna see Cliff waiting for Jackson on the shower stool later? I don't know. But anyway, we've got 3 days left until the eviction. I don't think Cliff's pitch is gonna work, whatever he comes up with, but I'd like to see him try, because I hate to see people just go out, right? I think Cliff will definitely be trying something. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments. I can't believe these turds are making me work so hard in the last whatever stretch of the show. So anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and until then, much love.